Freelance, gig worker, independent contractor, solopreneur, whichever of these you call yourself, being responsible for generating your own income and creating your own livelihood is exciting and rewarding, but it's also a massive responsibility and challenge. Believe me, I know. As an independent business person, you are your own boss and your own money manager. That means you need to carefully look after both your personal and business expenses, as well as your savings and investment needs, from immediate cash to run your life through to retirement money and financial peace of mind. But how do you balance all of the personal and professional financial demands of working alone when you didn't learn about money in school and you didn't study it at university? It's not easy, is it? If you work for yourself, it's time to learn how to master your money. So this video was made for you. Come check it out. Hi, I'm Lachlan Campbell, the founder of Mad Success. When I worked in the film industry in Los Angeles, I was a gig worker, working freelance as an independent contractor. I spent much of my time looking for the next gig, working as an actor, production manager, and as a freelance production accountant. I needed income, so I was constantly looking for my next contract. I had to really hustle. It was the toughest industry I've ever tried to make it in. So mad love and respect to everyone in front of and behind the camera that makes a living in film, television, theater, and in all creative endeavors, because it's not easy, and I know firsthand. Being your own boss is exciting and full of hope and opportunity, but man, there are tough days, even weeks and months. I'm with you. I'm experiencing the excitement and challenge and emotional roller coaster building Mad Success. But one thing I've discovered over my 30-year career is that a key to a happier, wealthier, more fulfilled life with a lot less stress and anxiety is better money management. And that's true nowhere more than being an independent contractor, freelance gig worker. Better money management means developing healthy money habits, growing a positive relationship with money, and learning how to save and protect yourself from those periods of time between gigs, the gig gap, when you start to worry if you'll have enough money to pay your bills. I've been there. Here at Mad Success, our mission is to empower you to design a life that you want to be living in alignment with your values and dreams, that excites you, motivates you, that drives you. A life you feel so fortunate to be living and can't imagine doing anything else. That's why you're working for yourself. But I also want you to be living your dream life without the constant worry of not having enough money. And that requires you to have a plan. As freelance workers, we wear many hats, one of which is Chief Financial Officer or CFO of our personal and business lives. Your responsibility is to manage your money effectively and efficiently. You are responsible to ensure you have enough money coming in each month from gigs to pay all your bills. You are responsible to manage your expenses and to ensure you're financially stable in case the next gig takes a few months to arrive, which is what many of you experienced during the height of the pandemic. You're also personally responsible for your financial future and how and when you're going to start investing your money for the long term. As a freelance worker, there's no company pension plan or company-funded medical benefit unless you pay for them yourself. Being a gig economy worker is a big risk, but the rewards are freedom, flexibility, and control of your life. But with more freedom comes more responsibility for your personal well-being and that of your partner and family if you have them. Do you know there are currently 59 million gig workers in the US? Of millennials, 75% want to be entrepreneurs, and nearly 30% of them already are. The statistics are relatively similar in many countries around the world. People want to work for themselves. The pandemic accelerated this as well. Many people were forced into becoming independent workers because of business closures and job losses. The so-called Great Resignation has also led to an unparalleled increase in independent gig workers. Working independently is awesome, but it's full of financial stress. Most freelance workers are truly independent and are not being financed by some venture capital or private equity firm, let alone by parents or a partner, though some of you may be going into debt, like what happened to me when I ran my cupcake business not so long ago. And that's not a good place to be. As a gig worker, you are your own boss and your own money manager. That means you need to look after carefully both your personal and business expenses, as well as all of your savings and investment needs, from immediate cash to run your life through to retirement money for the long term. How do you balance all of the financial demands of working alone when you didn't learn about money in school and you didn't study it at university? Well, it doesn't have to be that complicated. And with you in mind, I created a straightforward 3-step financial well-being process, specifically for freelance and gig economy workers, to get your financial life on track with a clear, easy to implement plan so that you can build financial security in your life and have peace of mind. How does that sound? Good? Great. I'll quickly outline the 3-step financial well-being process and then we'll get into the details of each step. Step 1 is a financial health check. Where are you right now with the money in your life? Once you know that, step 2 is to build what I call your must-have money plan. We'll get into the details of each step shortly. Step 3 is the icing on the cake, having savings and investments for your medium and long-term outcomes. Before we jump into step 1, however, I want you to ask yourself a few important questions and to answer them honestly to yourself with total depth of truth. Why are you doing what you're doing or thinking of doing? What is your purpose, your ambition, your why? What matters to you about what you're doing? What's inspiring you? What excites you, delights you, empowers you to be doing what you're doing? Being crystal clear about your why ignites your passion and purpose and gives your life clarity and focus. You become an unstoppable force when you're driven by your why. It's the reason you wake up early each day. Your why drives your being and doing in the world. Getting clear with your why will empower you to overcome any how. And part of your how to success is mastering your money. So please ask yourself those questions and the following questions about money. Why must you master your money? What are the negative implications on your life because you do not yet have control of your money? What are 2 or 3 chokeholds limiting you financially right now? When you think about money, what are your fears and concerns about money? What limiting beliefs do you have about money? What needs to change for you to gain financial stability? And what must you shift in your thoughts, beliefs, habits, behaviors, and emotions about money? These are deep and critical questions for you to consider and answer honestly for yourself and to keep in mind as you learn to master your money. Okay, let's get into step 1, your financial health check. Your goal with step 1 is to determine your financial situation right now, today. Just like going to the doctor to have a regular health check for your body, it's important to have regular health checks for money. Cancer and other diseases can grow undetected in our bodies, but having regular health checks is a form of prevention in the hope that we can detect these problems early on and fix them. You also want to detect your financial diseases, which show up as poor money habits. Do you overspend? Are you in debt? A lot of debt? Do you have fears holding you back from achieving more income? Do you lack an understanding of basic financial concepts? These are financial diseases. But the good news is, if you're honest with yourself and identify and admit these problems now, you can fix them and change your financial future for the better. In step 1, the financial health check, we just have 3 things for you to master. The first is assets, what you own that's of value. Second is liabilities or debt, money that you owe to other people such as credit cards. And third, insurance. How are you protected? That's it. Assets, liabilities, and insurance. That's step 1. Even if you've never studied anything about money before, you can learn this, and it's super important, or your money could end up a total disaster. As a freelance worker, you are a business. So it's important you understand both your business and personal financial positions as of today. Because if you don't know where you are, just like on a map, how do you know where you're going? Assets and liabilities are part of the language of accounting and are 2 basic accounting terms fundamental to learn as part of mastering your money and determining your current financial position. An asset is anything you own of value, such as cash, stocks, bonds, crypto, land, a house, a car, etc. Liabilities are your debts, any money that you owe to someone else, whether to an individual person or a company or bank. This includes credit cards, student loan debts, a mortgage loan for your house, and even money that you borrowed from a friend or a family member. To determine your financial position as of today, we can turn these two lists into a ledger like this, which is what professional accountants use. They list assets on the left and liabilities on the right, as shown. And this creates what is known in accounting language as the balance sheet. A balance sheet shows the assets and liabilities typically for a company at a specific point in time, such as at the end of last month or the end of last year. It is a fixed point in time. For our purposes, I want you to determine your financial position as of today. So we will refer to the balance sheet for your personal life as your financial position statement. Let's do a recap. Assets are money and items of value you own. Liabilities or debt are money that you owe to someone else. The difference between your total assets less your total liabilities is what is called your net worth. If assets are more than your liabilities, then you have a positive net worth. If your assets are less than your debts, then you have a negative net worth. To become financially stable and ultimately financially free, your goal is to have many more assets than liabilities, meaning you need to have positive net worth. So, your homework after you listen to this video is to determine your current financial position by creating a list of your assets and liabilities and calculating if you have a positive or negative net worth at this time. If your situation is negative or just a small positive, that's totally fine. Accept where you are. Please don't beat yourself up or judge yourself. Just accept it and know that you know why you want to master your money. And by being here, you're already doing something 95% of the world's population is not doing. You're taking charge of your financial future. And that takes courage. Well done, you. Okay, so in case you don't know how to start, let's walk through a quick example so that you understand what to do. Remember, what you own are assets and are put on the left column. Things you own might include cash on hand, cash in the bank, a car, if you own your house or apartment. If you have an investment account, just include the total value of the account as of today, and so on. If you own half an asset, such as a car or home with your spouse or a relative, for example, just include half the value. If you don't know how to value it, just check online, look at your national auto or real estate websites for cars and homes that have sold recently in your area and estimate the current value. Then list the money you owe, your liabilities, your debts, on the right side of the ledger, from credit cards, buy now, pay later schemes, store or retail cards, a car loan, mortgage, student loans. List all the money that you owe to other people on the right-hand side of the ledger. Yes, include money borrowed from your parents or another family member or a friend, even if they said you don't have to pay it back until your business has become a success. Okay? You still owe that money, so make sure to include it. Be honest with yourself and show your true financial position as of today. Let's look at an example quickly together. Your list of assets might look something like this. Cash on hand is $150. Cash in the bank is a further $450, and this person has a car worth about $2,000. Add up the column, and the total assets are $2,600. Remember, if you have a separate bank account and any assets specifically for your business, they should be accounted for. Itemize those amounts on your financial position statement as well. Or create an entirely separate balance sheet for your business if you have a separate company. The same goes for your personal and business liabilities. In this example, the person has credit card debt of $500, buy now, pay later debt of $150, and outstanding student loan debt of $9,000. Adding up the column, total liabilities are $9,650. This person does not have separate business assets or liabilities, so there's no category noted for that. And that's it. Net worth is the total difference between the total assets and total liabilities. In this example, we subtract total liabilities of $9,650 from the total assets of $2,600 to determine the net worth of $7,050. We show it in red with brackets because it's a negative number. That's a standard practice in accounting. So this person has some work to do to get into the positive net worth category by paying down debt and starting to build up assets. How they do that we'll cover in step 2. The third item to master as part of your step 1 financial health check is insurance. What is the status of your insurance and how well are you protected? There are 3 types of basic insurance for you to consider as a freelance gig worker: medical, business, and life. To me, medical insurance matters the most for you to have as a freelance independent gig worker. Do you have medical insurance? I know it may seem like a big expense, especially if you used to have it covered by a former employer. But what if you're hospitalized for an extended period? A simple single hospital stay could financially wipe you out. How are you going to pay the medical bills? More credit card debt? Hoping your parents or someone in your family will help? You have chosen to give up a full-time paycheck to be here as an independent worker. It's critical to have medical insurance in case something happens. At the very least, purchase inpatient medical insurance. You need to be covered for major health emergencies and hospitalization. A major health emergency is something like cancer, hospitalization for a broken leg. And even if you're listening to this and you work for a company, check and see what the medical insurance the company provides will cover. I was a chief operating officer for a $1 billion hedge fund about 10 years ago, and I thought my medical insurance for my level of seniority would be a full inpatient cover. I did not check my cover. I just assumed. Many of us make this mistake. I ended up breaking my wrist. I went to a private hospital, and after the surgery I paid the bill and sent it to the insurer to be reimbursed. They covered 20% of the bill. I ended up having to pay, and I promise you this is true. I ended up paying $25,000 out of my own pocket. $25,000 for this little cut and wrist to get it fixed. I feel like the bionic man. I can tell you I was royally unhappy with my company, but it was my fault for not checking the insurance in the first instance. Be fully covered for inpatient medical. Outpatient insurance is expensive, covering minor injuries and sicknesses. You probably don't need this now. Likewise for dental and optical. If you have inpatient medical insurance and you have a major accident, your dental and optical emergencies should be covered by the inpatient medical. But do check before you buy your policy or check your policy for work. Otherwise, dental and optical health insurance can be expensive and generally are not necessary for general dental checkups and eye care. If you don't have medical insurance, what do you need to do to put it in place? How much money do you need to make, and what costs do you need to cut to be able to afford it? This is a priority for you as an independent worker. Medical insurance is a must-have item, and we'll cover that in step 2. The need for business insurance depends on what you're doing as an entrepreneur. This is also country specific. So I can't tell you if you need it or not. But I would suggest if you haven't checked, please do so at the very least. If you're selling a product or offering a service and someone was hurt because of your product or service, you need insurance. In many countries, it's the law to have business insurance, so please check what it is in your country. As for life insurance, it depends on your age and stage of life. To me, if you're single and have no dependents, you do not need life insurance. In a very simplified way, life insurance is there to protect your spouse and or children from having to pay off your debts. If you're married and have kids and have a lot more debt than assets, you should have life insurance in case you are in a serious accident and cannot work, or worse, you die. Life insurance ensures that your debts can be paid for you so your family is not left being responsible to pay these debts. Life insurance is really only necessary if you have significant debts. You will have to determine for you and your family what qualifies as significant. But I would say anything more than $20,000 and you might want to have life insurance in place, especially if you are the sole breadwinner and you don't have enough liquid assets to cover all the debts. If you have a mortgage of $200,000 and student loan debt of $30,000 and you're married with kids, you should have life insurance to cover those debts. That's being responsible. The last thing you would want is for your spouse and kids to lose the family home because they couldn't afford to pay the mortgage and student loans. This happens frequently, and it's all the more important if you're an independent freelance worker. Look after the people you love. If you're getting value from this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Alrighty, step 2. This is your must-have money plan. As freelance gig workers, we must have money to live. Our income is up and down. It's often unpredictable and irregular, so it causes us stress. real financial stress. We're working hard to find our next gig, but because of the nature of gigs and contracts, they're unpredictable. So we must have money set aside to reduce our stress. So how do we do that? We save our money, we spend less, and we build a must-have 6-month gig gap cushion. The gig gap is the time between gigs. And this is the time when we don't have income and stress about when the next gig will come. The gig gap cushion is a money cushion that we build and live off of to cover the gaps between our gigs. And if you can say gig gap fast 3 times, then you're my hero. This is different to an emergency fund that I recommend full-time employed workers to maintain. This is your must-have money bucket that you will live off of on a regular basis during the gig gap, and that you will fill back up through savings every time you receive more income from a new gig. You can look at it as your ongoing emergency fund, but in this case, it's actually your living fund. It's the money you set aside specifically to live off of before the next gig or contract comes in. This step 2, your must-have money plan, is by far the most important step for you to understand and build into your life. It requires you to concentrate on building up savings of at least 6 months of your monthly expenses, with your 5 core needs being covered: rent, food, transportation, clothing, and your medical insurance. So you need to know very clearly how much money you're spending each month, on average, for your 5 core needs, and then work to build a 6-month cushion to cover these expenses. Everything else you spend money on are wants. Wants can be cut until you're financially stable with a solid 6 months needs money cushion. The only other expenses that could be considered a core need are education expenses for yourself or someone in your family. But as you tighten your financial belt and build your 6-month must-have money cushion, ask yourself if the education is essential or can it be deferred? Or is there a less expensive way to get the same or similar education result? And check if there is free money available in terms of government grants, scholarships, and the like to cover the expense. I recommend a 6-month must-have cushion because, as we've seen from the pandemic, it's easy to be without income for 6 months or more. So find ways to create more income and aggressively cut costs further to build your 6-month must-have money cushion by creating and saving more money each month. For some of you, I get it. You're struggling, barely existing during the gig gap. Maybe you're borrowing money to survive. Maybe you just discovered you have a worrying negative net worth calculated in step 1. Believe me, I've been there a number of times in my life, and it's not fun. I feel your stress, anxiety, and pain, but this is also part of the risk of being an entrepreneur. If you've seen my other videos, you know I was $500,000 in debt from my cupcake business at the age of 45. That was my net worth just 10 years ago. Not pretty, but I bounced back, and you can too. Struggling financially sucks. So the key then is to determine how to create more income and what you can do to radically cut your daily and monthly expenses even further. Impossible, you say. Well, I call bullshit. Where there's a will, there's a way. First, look at how you're spending on your needs, the big expenses: housing, food, clothing, transportation. How can you cut these costs? I recently cut my housing expense by nearly 70%. Can you? But do not cut your medical insurance. That must stay. Of course, be smart and compare medical insurance plans each year before you renew to see if there's a less expensive plan with same or very similar medical cover. But keep your medical insurance. You'll thank me one day. For me, paying for medical insurance is similar to paying for car rental insurance. I view them both as a kind of tax on life, but they're vital to have. Car rental insurance practically doubles the cost of the rental unless your credit card specifically covers car rentals, which some North American cards do. I don't have one of those cars. I always pay the full car rental insurance. It's painful to purchase because how often do we really get into an accident with a rental car? Not very often, but it happens. And when it does, just like with medical insurance and your emergency fund and must-have money, you're so thankful that you planned and have it when you need it. It's a godsend. My kid's mom was in a very bad car accident in Canada a few years ago. It was her fault, unfortunately, but because she purchased the rental car insurance, which is one of our money habits, she didn't have to pay anything for the rental car or for the other driver's car or for any of the medical insurance. It would otherwise have been financially devastating. I was hit last summer in my rental car by another car in Vancouver. The person ran a red light. None of us were injured, fortunately, and I was fully covered. I didn't pay a dime for the damage to the rental car. Twice in the past 6 years, we needed the car insurance, and it saved us financially. Medical insurance is the same thing. I promise you, you'll thank me later. Buy medical insurance if you haven't yet. It literally could save your life. The point has been made. I'm moving on. Do you spend on a particular vice or two, like alcohol, cigarettes, weed, vaping? These are expensive habits. Unless it's medical marijuana covered by your medical insurance that you just purchased, then it's a habit and an expense. If you can cut any and all of these habits out of your life, even for 3 to 6 months, while you build your must-have money cushion, you'll also gain in physical health, which will be a big plus when you apply for your medical insurance to keep your premiums lower. You see how it all comes together? Consider cutting other costs too, such as expensive concerts, shows, movies, sporting events, the bar, dining out, etc. Oh, Lachlan, the pandemic just ended. I want to go out. I want to do these things. Right, but if you're struggling financially, can you afford to do that? No. If you have season's tickets, then sell the individual event tickets online or to family and friends to get some of the money back to put towards your gig gap money cushion. Cut your subscriptions. Most of us have subscriptions that we can do without. Magazines, newspapers, games, fitness, meditation, and yoga apps we don't use, and so on. Cut your costs radically so you can get ahead and build financial stability in your life as a priority. That's what this must-have money is all about. Build up a base of savings that you use to live off of to reduce your financial stress during the gig gap and by building financial stability into your life. You will be able to rebuild your lifestyle as you hustle more and your income improves. But for now, make these personal cost-cutting sacrifices in order to get ahead financially. Another way to minimize your monthly cash outflow is to consolidate your debts and reduce the number of actual payments. Too many debts and monthly payments for student loans, credit cards, buy now, pay later, a car loan, etc. can be very stressful and will negatively impact your monthly outflow. There may be an option to consolidate your loans to free up cash each month to build your must-have money plan and reduce your financial stress. Talk to your bank. See how many of your debts can be consolidated into one loan with one monthly payment. This could substantially reduce your monthly outflows to build your 6-month gig gap money cushion with money left over to invest for your future. If your bank won't help you, another bank might. Check online if your local government has set up a debt workout center, which may be able to advise you how to better manage all of your payments. Most developed countries have some sort of debt management agency that can advise you how to consolidate your debt. It's an option to consider. So, just like we did in step 1, let's take a quick look at the accounting terms of step 2, income and expenses. Income and expenses are part of the language of accounting and are fundamental to learn as part of mastering your money. We've already talked a lot about growing your income and cutting your expenses, but I want to give you a quick look how to measure them so you can see what changes need to be made in your life to become financially stable. Measuring your income and expenses each month will help you to gauge your progress towards financial stability, just like what you can do for your net worth from step 1. So let's start with income. Income is money earned and received by you. So think about every way you get paid for your work, for your products and services. Again, by income I mean money, cash, or some of you might also be paid in crypto. I'm not talking about barter services where you trade your work for someone else's work. Right now, I want you to determine all the money that you earn and receive and can use to pay your daily and monthly expenses. Cash. Identify all your sources of income from everything you do that you're paid for, including things like if you write, perform, manage, produce, design, consult, coach, teach, whatever it is, whatever you do to generate cash income from your freelance work. Count that towards your money received. Okay. Now let's look at expenses. Expenses are all of the ways you spend money. Whatever you spend your money on, that's an expense. I'm not talking about savings and investments. We'll get into that in step 3. What I'm talking about as expenses are actual costs that you pay for both for your business and your personal life. Let's take a look at possible work expenses in your life as a freelance gig worker. Maybe you pay for an editor or copywriter. You're likely paying for marketing and maybe advertising expenses. If you set up a company, you probably had legal expenses as well as admin, computer, transportation, and possibly accounting costs. There are a lot more costs on the work front, but this should give you a good idea how to get started. Personal expenses will include everything you spend at home and for your personal life outside of business-related expenses. But remember though, in many countries, a lot of what you spend your money on for your personal life can be deducted as expenses for your business, which, if you're making a profit, will help you reduce any taxes that you owe the government. So, if you're not familiar with allowable business expense deductions, please ask an accountant friend of yours or pay for an accountant's advice, because the small cost of the accountant could save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, or your currency equivalent in tax. Personal expenses will include the costs from your home, rent or mortgage payments, utility bills, mobile phone costs, internet service charges, as well as food and transportation costs, clothing, medical insurance, your daily non-fat extra whipped tall double shot latte, your gym membership, your online subscriptions, and anything else that you spend money on. Remember, when you're about to spend money on something, ask yourself, is this a need or a want? If it's a want, can you do without it? Also ask yourself if it's an expense your business can pay for and be deducted against your business income to reduce your taxes. That, my friends, is better money management. Great. Now let's look at a simple way to track your income and expenses by using what is called an income statement. An income statement is a simple way to track how much money you're receiving as income and how much money you're spending on expenses over a certain time period. For example, over the past month or the past year. Money received or income is tracked on the left column and money spent or expenses are tracked on the right. The difference between the amount of money received and the amount of money spent is either a profit or a loss. If income is greater than expenses, you have a net profit. If income is less than your expenses, you're making a loss for that period in time. The word net just means you're looking at your income net of expenses or less the expenses. Gross income means total income. Net income means less the expenses. As we set up our businesses, we usually have more expenses than income. So we are almost always in a loss-making position when we get started. As freelance gig workers, we often go for extended periods without income. That's the gig gap. So we have to carefully manage our expenses when there's no income coming in. That's where the must-have money plan comes into play. Let's look at the income statement with a little more depth. Start by listing all of your income sources on the left, and then calculate how much money you receive from each contract or gig, such as in this example, and calculate the total at the bottom. You can choose which period of time to use for your income statement, but calculating for 1 month or 1 quarter or 1 year are commonly used time frames. If this is the first time you're doing this, a good place to start is with last month's income and expenses. Expenses are tracked the same way. Determine all of your work and personal expenses and include them for the same time period as your income, and total your expenses at the bottom of the page. I have commingled both work and personal expenses here because as freelance gig workers, we're spending everything from our own pocket, at least in the beginning. As well, many freelance gig workers only pay personal taxes on the income they received. But if you have set up a company, you will need to separate your work and personal income and expenses for accounting and tax purposes. So, create an income statement for work and one for your personal life. Once you've completed that exercise, then calculate if you have a profit or loss for the period. In this example, there's a net profit of $200 from the month by subtracting the $900 in expenses from the $1,100 of income. With this method, you can clearly see the current profitability and how you're managing your income and expenses, and if you're living within your means, spending less than your income. If you're not, and your expenses are more than your income, you are either going into debt by borrowing money to survive, or you're drawing down your existing savings, which would effectively be your must-have money savings pool. So, what do we do with the extra $200 of income from the example? Spend it all, of course. No! We either use it to pay down outstanding debt or we save it towards our 6-month must-have money cushion. The first part of your homework for step 2 is to calculate your monthly net profit or loss position and determine how much more money you can save each month in order to build your 6-month must-have gig gap money cushion. The second part of step 2 homework is to ask yourself the following 5 questions. 1. How satisfied are you with your financial position? Is it great? Is it okay? Is it terrible? How satisfied do you want to be with your financial situation? What is the vision for your financial situation? 2. What is your ability to absorb a financial shock, such as no gig for the next 3 to 6 months? What would life be like if you had a 6-month must-have money cushion? 3. You are a resourceful person. What must you do to improve your financial situation? What changes must be made in how you run your life, win business, and spend money? What must you do to build the life you want for yourself and your loved ones? 4. Who must you be to improve your financial situation? Be the person you believe you are. Be the vision you are destined to become. Be the physical embodiment of your vision every day, all day. Who must you be to build the life you want for yourself? And 5, what outcomes must you have this year in service of your why, in service of your life, to improve your financial situation? Decide the outcomes you must have this year to build the life you want for yourself and your loved ones with financial stability, security, and so much less stress. Okay, that might seem a lot more than 5 questions, but they were the 5 main questions, and some sub-questions are part of my desire for you to design the life that you want for you. Not for me, not for anyone else, but for you. You can do this. You are creative, resourceful, and whole, and I believe you can design your life for you. And don't forget to answer the questions about your why at the beginning of step 1. Okay, there's just a little bit more to go in this video. I know it's been a long one. Thanks for sticking with me. And these questions are, the questions here in step 1 and step 2 are tagged in the description below, so you can easily go back to them. Answer them today while they're fresh in your mind as soon as you've completed watching step 3 of this video. So, step 3, the final step in the financial well-being process for freelance and gig workers is about savings and investments, the icing on the cake. Once you have your 6-month must-have money cushion in place and you find yourself in an enviable position with additional money at the end of each month, such as the $200 left over in our earlier example, or even significantly more, know that you're most definitely heading in the right direction for your financial future and your financial well-being, so long as you're not spending this money. So, I believe the best way to view how to start saving and investing is based on the timing of your money needs in the future. The timing of your money needs will determine how your money should be saved and invested. Your money needs are determined by your life objectives and outcomes, your life plan and what you want to achieve, your why. Any money needed over the next 6 months should not be invested, such as your must-have money. Your must-have money is immediate need money, in case you go for 3 to 6 months without any further income. This money should never be invested in crypto or the stock market, because these are assets whose prices can fluctuate significantly, both up and down, which is known as price volatility. And at the time of this video, we're in the midst of a major market crash with massive price volatility. Immediate need money should be kept safe in your bank savings account. As part of your immediate need, don't forget to save your annual taxes. It's an easy one to forget. And as a freelance worker, you're responsible for your taxes. And you may not know what they are at the end of the year, but plan for a certain amount. See what you've earned over the first 6 months of the year, or first few months of the year, and then estimate what your taxes will be. Save for taxes specifically, ideally in a separate bank account. And don't put your tax money at risk by investing it in the markets. If you're looking to build out your business somehow or make a material personal purchase of some kind and have other money needs over the next 6 to 24 months, this specific money can be invested, but in interest-bearing financial products, such as certificates of deposit or short-dated government bills or notes. Money needs within a medium term, say 24 to 48 months, can generally be invested in the stock market. But keep that money safe too by considering to buy stocks that are generally less risky, such as ETFs for utility and insurance companies or banks. If you're looking, here's an example. If you're looking to put a deposit on your first home in 3 years and you invest in stocks or crypto and these crash in price, then you'll have to wait a lot longer than 3 years to build back your deposit. So you see why I say you can invest it, but be careful with it. Long-term money, such as for retirement, can be invested and should be invested in the stock market if you truly don't need the money for at least 5 years or a much longer time frame. If you want to learn more about money timing needs and how to invest your money in all market conditions, I created an excellent video just for that. Click on this link or find the link in the description below. Money needs vary throughout your life. When you think about what you want to achieve and you've planned it for your life for the next 1, 3, 5 years and beyond, there are specific money timing buckets based on your personal and professional goals and outcomes, as I've covered in many of my other videos. The homework will give you clarity of your financial position and move you towards financial stability and ultimately financial freedom. So please do them for yourself. Empower your financial future. If you got value from this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel and share it, the Mad Success channel, with family, friends, and colleagues who could benefit from it. If you'd like to discuss these or any other topics with me, send me an email, ask@madsuccess.com, or ask your questions in the comments below. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching all the way through. I'm Lachlan Campbell, and this is Mad Success. Cheers.